Hello? Alright, there we go. Now it works. I don't know why my computer keeps switching the audio input to like not connected or whatever, even though I always use the same microphone. I don't know. Good thing I checked that. That would have been disastrous if that didn't, or if I didn't connect that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hey, beaches. Okay. So for the stream, I wanted to show my process for drawing a map because I also felt like drawing another one. I don't know. It's a childhood hobby of mine for some reason. I don't know why. It's a very weird childhood hobby, drawing fictional maps and stuff. But I don't know. I don't know. I felt like making another one. Sorry, I got dust on my screen. Not that I really want to replace this one. I just want to draw another one just for fun. Because honestly, I don't know why. There's something so satisfying about like making a fictional world. Like, not even just the world building, just drawing the map and like laying everything out. Though this time I'm gonna go higher. I'm gonna aim for the moon. You like that, Obama? Piss me the fucking moon. So this is a map I already made for my Roblox game that I'm currently developing. This is just like what a finished map that I would make would look like. Of course, it's not all that developed. Usually with fictional maps, you'd want like a legend at the top left corner, right corner, whatever. You want some empty space for like a legend or something. But I don't know. That way you can color code stuff. Say like, I mean, I didn't really bother because I'm mainly just using it for my game development, so I already know what everything is. The gray is like residential urban areas, like towns and villages and stuff. Obviously, blue is water, green, grass, land, just in general. The lighter it is, the higher up it is off the ground. These are all things you can add in like a legend or something. Add a legend, like the dotted lines are like for boundaries between like regions and stuff. So like there's different regions with like different smaller subdivisions of governments. Anyways, so usually you would also want to name it too, but I only really did that in my notes app. Ultimately, I'd recommend doing everything. If you do this kind of stuff, I would recommend doing stuff as different layers. You got markers like light blue little markers. If you zoom in, you can see them and stuff. Just like to mark the different towns, stars for like the larger cities and stuff. I have that as a separate layer. Borders are a separate layer. I really recommend making these things separate layers. I'm using Clip Studio Paint. If you want to like ever show your map with or without borders and you don't want to mess anything up, just make it a different layer, and boom. You can just see it with or without. Outline, not that it really matters, obviously it's not perfect. I don't use any vector-based program or anything. But I have districts layer just like to show like the color code, the different districts and whatnot. That's its own separate layer. For some reason I put the urban areas and the water color on the same layer. I don't know why. I don't know. I wouldn't really normally do that. Like if you just want to show green for the land, I would put urban as its own sort of layer and like the land in the water on its like same layer kind of thing. I don't know. If you're ever doing anything that's different, like if you're adding names, if you're adding color coding, different borders and stuff, definitely make it as a different layer, because you don't want to mess anything up. If you do want to like flip back and forth between different versions of your map. But I don't know. Yeah, that's not sure what that layer was for. It's just an empty layer. I don't know, I don't see anything changing. Anyways, so let's go off of this basically. I'm gonna have this open so I can like eyedrop, like copy the colors and stuff to keep things consistent. That's something I recommend. If you ever want to keep stuff consistent, just, you know, you know what, actually, I'm gonna start a new one. If you're making this for like a game or something, if it's gonna be interactive with whoever is using the map, you're gonna want it high res, so that way if anybody zooms in or anything, it's not like all pixelated and all that crap. Anyways, I'll just start a new one. Usually you'd want maps as like landscape. Ultimately, it depends on the shape of your landscape. Shape of your map or whatever. So if you have like a wider kind of map, wider landmass, you're gonna want a wider map. Usually you'd want a wider map anyway, so that way you can have some like room at the side for your legend. That's usually the go-to, usually the play. If you want to make it square, I don't know. This is just basically my process, what I would do. Higher resolution, I guess. Sharper pixels, I don't know. Yeah. I'll name it. I don't know. You should name everything more organized and stuff. Keep all the names organized so that way you don't lose stuff in your files. I'll just name it random map. I'll just call it that. Alright, gonna get my glove on. Now typically, I was just gonna do like a fun like little map drawing stream, but honestly, I think it would be funny to like turn this into a kind of run through of my process. Like a semi-tutorial, I don't know. I think it's fun doing tutorials because, I don't know, I just like teaching people the stuff I know. Makes me feel smart. So typically what you want to do first, you just kind of, what I like doing, because I'm not going off of a real landmass, I'm just making stuff up. It's hard to use references because then you end up just copying stuff, and it's up to you ultimately. I don't know. Say, just want to draw general land masses. As people know, land masses are very natural looking. They're not geometric shapes and all that. You can use geometric shapes to construct them if that's what's in your mind. Realistically, you'd kind of want to make it a vector layer, so that way if it's in like a game or something, you can keep zooming in and it won't lose any quality. But whatever, I don't know, I'm using Clip Studio. I'm just used to using pixel based stuff or whatever. Okay, let's just think of a random landmass. Say I want to have, I don't know, just a random number 4 main islands or continents or whatever, depending on how large it is. Let's say continents. Let's say this is like a world map. So I just want to make like general shapes. We want to have like one landmass. Vary the size and shape of things so that way they look more natural. If you keep things too similar, then they're going to look man-made and they're not going to look that natural. So we'll probably want to leave some empty space over there. That brush is actually kind of wide. Didn't really change it much, but anyways. Say like we want to have like a little northern area here. Say like kind of like North Canada or something. That's still too wide. So I want to go like 8 or something. So I want to have like, it's just kind of like rough scribbles, because ultimately that's what helps you kind of define natural shapes. They're just rough scribbles. natural shapes are very random. Oftentimes they're not like controlled and precise. Just random stuff over here. Say like this is all one landmass, just random shapes. You want to like kind of like a jagged lines, quick, like all one brush stroke. Maybe, I don't know. That's what I prefer. Say just random shapes, random land masses. Don't go all crazy with the islands because then you're just going to turn it into an archipelago. Archipelago? Yeah, I think. And if that's not what you're going for, then you wouldn't really want that. You would mainly want to have larger land masses. Unless you are going for an archipelago, then you're going to want to have like a lot of smaller islands and stuff. Don't like anything, just don't do it. So let's say like this is one smaller landmass. Once again, like I said, you want to vary stuff. You don't want to put everything too similar. So we're not going to have like an equal grid layout with equal spacing between every single one. That's just way too unnatural, kind of, you know? You want to make things random. Let's say we have one continent all the way over here. It's just one big landmass. One big landmass. We'll develop the actual like definition of stuff later. So I'm kind of going off the say we're gonna have like some kind of rivers going in there or something. Just kind of random shapes. What I just do random shapes to start off with, and then I develop the actual details and of like the borders and stuff later on. Say this is one large landmass. There's just some small islands around it and whatnot. I'm not some geographic professional or something, so I'm not like geographic. Yeah, I'm not some geographic like master or something, so I'm not like a professional on the formation of land. I can't really, you know, be accurate and realistic in that way. So I'm just gonna add like a few smaller islands, maybe like a medium island or something. Maybe this will be like a kind of delta, like a river that goes inwards, and then kind of branches off into a lot of rivers and inland and stuff. If it's a world map, like scaled out, it's gonna have a lot more detail. Because like all the larger things will be a lot smaller, and you'll have like a lot of, I don't know. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just do shit. Pictures, exports, sure. Yeah. I don't know, something like that. Just to save it, get it into the files. Okay. So say we have a river going through there. We don't want to make the overall world too square, so we're not going to make the world map like... Of course, this is... I'm not a flat earther, but this isn't taking into account the spherical nature of a planet. This isn't really meant to be specific like that. It's just some, say, like, random game map or something. Like a map for a game or something. I don't know. Say I don't like something that looks a little weird. Whatever. I'll put an island up here, but because I have this kind of square and I have nothing over here or nothing up here, I don't want to keep it too rectangular, because once again we don't want to keep things too unnatural. Don't rely too much on like perfect geometric shapes and whatnot. But say I have like another landmass over here. There's gonna be like a large kind of sea over here or something. So we're gonna have like large rivers in that one. We're gonna have like a big sea or something. I don't know. Maybe that's like something right there. We're gonna kind of branch it off there. Gonna build off into this direction. But we also don't want to keep like going in a straight line that way. We also want to add some detail over here to balance it out. Random little island over there. Right now they're looking like they're too clumped up. It doesn't really look like a real world map, but we'll fix things with like the detail and whatnot. Is it because it's a whole world map, it's gonna have like a lot of islands. Because like I said, this is like really zoomed out and whatnot. You're gonna have things that are gonna look a lot different close up. I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to focus too much on the details right now. I'm just kind of doing like the rough. I want to do like a lot of natural shapes, a lot of jagged, rocky shapes. That's often how geography is. When you look at a lot of straight lines on maps, are they actual natural borders, or are they man-made borders? 99% of the time, they're man-made borders. You rarely ever find like perfect shapes in the actual real world. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna... Of course, this isn't planned beforehand. Oftentimes it is planned beforehand, but I'm just kind of winging it, because that's what I find fun. Just winging it and seeing what I come up with. We don't want to clump things up too much. I guess that's a major thing to take into consideration. We're definitely gonna kind of develop that. I might actually break off a chunk of this, make it an island or something. Just to kind of balance it out, make it look better. I have like a little country over there. It's kind of like a separate continent over here. Continent. Continent. Oftentimes you don't always have to make continents like separate chunks of like islands and stuff, like giant islands. They can all be like, say like this can be 2 different continents, 1, 2. That could be 2 different continents. Ultimately it's up to you, whatever you want. I usually just do it based on like what land is connected together. I don't want to like I said, I want to make the spacing between the land masses more natural. But this is like the most, like this is the largest landmass. You're gonna get like a lot of landlocked stuff there, and because of that, you're often gonna get like a lot of deserts in the middle of it. It's gonna be dry depending on like the climate, whatnot. It's gonna be very dry. What was it? Well, I have like a few smaller little islands and stuff. Like I said, this is a world map, so it's gonna have like a lot of smaller detail. Of course, you don't want to like clog up the water too much, unless you're not going for like something Earth-like. If you're going for like a more land-based kind of planet map kind of stuff, then yeah, sure, go all ham on the land masses. Have like a little bit of water, and maybe that could be part of your story or something. Maybe water is like a scarce resource. I don't know. Be pretty interesting. I'm just gonna add like a lot of different details and islands and stuff. Not details, not yet. I'll do that in the final, when I do like the line art and whatnot. I want like something like that. You're gonna want like a lot of funky, scribbly shapes. Pretend to be like Picasso or something. Just do weird, wacky doodles and whatnot. Not that he did random wacky doodles. All these are at a meaning behind it, but whatever. That's a topic for a different day. Yeah. Don't want to branch off too far in that direction. I want some room for the legend and whatnot. If you want to do a legend, you know, you don't have to. See, this doesn't seem right. It's too proper. I don't want proper. Just like a little island there. Maybe that'll go like in a little bit. I don't know. Obviously make sure to save a lot. Add some long islands, wide islands, you know, round islands, jagged islands. There's like a little bay here. Maybe like let's add an island in the bay or something. I don't know. Judging by how this is a world map, that could even be like its own separate country. Never know. Really island-based world map, that's for sure. I wasn't whatever the word was. I wasn't going to, but oh well. Usually I worry about like the lakes, like the inland lakes and stuff later. Might as well do that now, get that out of the way. Oftentimes they're gonna have like different river veins and whatnot running through. A lot of the areas will be connected and whatnot. I know I said this is gonna be dry, but it's gonna have like a lot of inland kind of seas and whatnot. Obviously, with this being a world map, that's going to be connected by a river. I'm not going to show it yet. I'll keep it in mind, though. Yeah. Of course, I'll add some more. Rivers and whatnot. Like I said, I'm not some geographical expert, so I'm not sure like how all the formation stuff works. I'm not professional about it. I just like drawing stuff for fun because it's fun. Yeah. Hey, welcome to the stream. So this is layer 1. Make sure to start a new layer, please. Please start a new layer. This layer is going to be, I don't name my layers usually. I definitely recommend it though. Makes things more organized. If you're doing maps and stuff, you're gonna not want pressure, pen pressure, resizing, stuff like that, whatever. You're not gonna want that. You're gonna want the entire brush to be like the same width, because if you're doing like actual line art for like say land masses and stuff, you don't want the brush to be like thick and then thin and then thick and then thin. You just want like regular lines. Now I also I guess Real G Pen, I think it comes free with Clip Studio. It just comes built in. It's a pretty good pen. If that's probably gonna be wide, isn't it? Yeah, that's really wide. I'd say do thinner lines. 96 or something. Still a bit thick, but don't make it too thin because oftentimes you're gonna want the thinner lines for borders and whatnot. Maybe 5 will be fine. And we're just gonna want to make like a lot of natural shapes. We're gonna want to go like in and out of the land masses a lot. I don't know why my brush is kind of slow. It's kind of lagging. You don't want to go like too in and out because then once again it's gonna look like repetition and then it's not gonna look natural, even if that's what you're going for. Want like a lot of jagged shapes mixed with kind of natural shapes. Maybe I want to go like in a little bit here. It's not perfect because for some reason my brush is kind of laggy. It's kind of like lagging behind and not doing all the detail I'm trying to get it to do. But yeah, think about how the map's gonna look ultimately, how you want it to look, the kind of level of detail that you want it to have, and try to implement it. Look at like, try to keep in mind when you do a lot of rough shapes in the rough version, you don't want to completely copy it into the final version because those are only just placeholder shapes and stuff. You just kind of want to trace them and but like add detail and all that stuff to it. I want to add like a little river and stuff in there too. I don't know why my brush is acting up. Usually I can add a lot more detail on this. So this is going to be kind of like wavy and stuff, like a weird jagged lines and stuff. I don't know. Some areas, some coastal areas are going to be really like wavy and weird and stuff. and then other ones are going to be pretty smooth. Once again, just another thing that kind of adds to the realism, I guess. I didn't think my brush would be this weird. Maybe I want to make this like an inland kind of sea. Well, not inland, but like make it connected to like the ocean. Boom. Still made the line a little thick, but whatever. I made it a little too wavy considering it's a world map, but whatever. If you find problems and stuff in your map, you can fix it if you want. I'm not really going to bother, I'm just doing this for fun. So I want to bring that a little closer. Seeing how wavy and weird that turned out, partially thanks to my brush, I'm gonna kind of tone down on like the jaggedness. It's kind of weird because I thought it would have worked out. This brush, because like when I go up and down, it kind of goes like, it kind of like snakes in between. So it doesn't get all the detail that I'm trying to get at. There would be a lot more detail, a lot more stuff to it, but it's not working properly for some reason. It's kind of bothering me. I don't know. Just also, once again, making sure that we're on a different layer. The line art layer, not another layer. I've made that mistake before, it's not fun. Doing all your work and then, boom, wrong layer. If I make any gaps, I gotta make sure to close them because we are gonna be using the fill tool. Don't wanna like mess anything up, you know? Still don't know why the brush is so laggy, it makes no sense. Line art's often kind of a long process because, well, slowly, carefully tracing a lot of stuff. Make sure to save periodically, obviously. Probably should have still made the brush a little smaller. Maybe it would have helped with the lag a little bit. I'm still not sure why it's lagging. I know I keep complaining about that a lot, but it's really bothering me. I don't like that. Call me a psychopath, but my favorite part of making the math? I can't even, I can't do anything. Favorite part of making a map is probably adding the residential areas. I also kind of like doing the line art like this when it's not lagging. It's really bothering me. I will probably keep complaining about that. So I do apologize. I don't know why the brush is so slow, like smooth. Should be like, I don't know. This goes kind of inland, so you know what? We're gonna do a bay, and then it's gonna be like a river. And instead of doing that river there, because I changed my mind, I'm just gonna do it up here. I'm gonna keep in mind not to do that river. We don't have to follow the rough one-to-one. It's just kind of there. Can you make a country we would all hate because we're racist? We already have a country that we all hate. It's called France. Keep up with the time. Anyways, I'm kind of hungry. I don't know. Should eat something. Yeah, something like that maybe. It'll be like an inland kind of ocean. Sea, not ocean. Way too small to be an ocean. I'm not liking this. Also, once again, try to vary the shapes a little more. Don't want them to be too similar. You know what? I'm gonna do what I mentioned earlier. Break that off. Kind of don't follow the thing one to one. I'm gonna make that kind of like a point. And I'm gonna kind of make that like an island. I don't like how smooth that is. And obviously erase if you ever need to. I'm gonna erase that. Don't like that. Too smooth. Don't want to make things too smooth. Do want to put some effort into it, at least if you're like actually using it for something, like a game that you're making. Kind of like me with the map I showed earlier. I'm gonna go inland. We're gonna have like that little island right near the delta or bay or whatever you want to call it. Don't want to rely on the same rough shapes too many times. Like I said, repetition often leads to things being unnatural. I want to avoid that when making a map because all land masses look pretty natural, I can tell you. Yeah, this goes to show just how long that took just for that. But don't worry, don't worry. See a little gap, I'm gonna close it. Honestly, when you do go through with the fill tool, probably gonna check again for gaps. It's not the end of the world if you miss any. I'm gonna make this a little bit quicker because I'm already getting bored of the line art. Kind of hard to make it quicker with the lag, but whatever. I'm just going to ignore it, kind of. Go a little bit quicker. My weird brush is actually kind of one of the reasons I've been going a little slower than usual. Usually I go a lot quicker than this. Because they're just jagged natural shapes, I don't really gotta worry too much about it. Just do random stuff and see what sticks. Maybe I'll use this for one of my webcomics. Maybe the cleansing on one. The only problem is I kind of already planned for some stuff to happen in the real world, but I can write that out. I can write it out. Usually we want to keep the line art weight consistent. As I mentioned, you don't really want to have pen pressure and stuff. A lot of natural shapes, that's for sure. Not a lot of world maps are going to look like this. A lot of wrinkly land masses, but yeah, that kind of go back in on itself. Once again, it shouldn't be this smooth, but my fucking brush is lagging. I don't know why. Yeah, like a little point there, why not? Usually I don't, but why not? I'm just feeling a little quirky like that. I like a lot of inlets and bays and whatnot. You can often think about the history that happened in your world while you're drawing it, if you're bored. You can think about what things have happened in the areas that you're drawing, what life is like there, what the climate is like. I don't know. It's just something to think about, I guess. Like I said, you don't gotta follow everything one to one. Yeah, we got pretty much most of it done, kind of. I don't know. They're a little too close together, so I'll make them a little further apart. Now let's do the giant ass landmass. Let's curl in a little bit. I'm just gonna do this really quick, so we can be done and over with this. Notice how I'm using a lot of similar tactics for drawing the coastal areas. A lot of times I'll go in, kind of dip in like that, kind of go around. Or I'll kind of go in that, maybe go out a little bit, just kind of vary things up a little bit. I'll make that like a bay. There's some kind of smoother areas, I guess. Want that to stick out a little bit. Very natural shapes. Man, it's already kind of cramping up. I don't like that. Probably even just make an island in this kind of inland area. these little rivers, they kind of branch off into like these big seas and stuff, kind of like that. They all connect together at some point. I'm hungry. I'm fucking hungry. I'm gonna grab some food at some point. Lonely little nation over here. Almost done. Yeah, sure, why not? Should be fine enough. You can always feel free to add more detail to like land masses and whatnot. I'm not gonna worry too much about that. So, say, I'll get rid of that. And for the color, we're gonna make another layer. Now, usually start off, I would do a sort of, I don't know, regular watercolor, kind of like shallow water, maybe. And I like the deeper, darker water as we go on. Don't go too saturated or else their map's gonna look a little neon. Kind of want to, oops, did that on a border layer. We want to kind of do that in the middle layer. There we go. It's a little too dark. Just want to play around with colors a little bit. So yeah, it's kind of how like the shallow water would look. Make sure nothing got filled up. Everything looks okay. Get little areas here. It's usually easier to just color in the land masses first and then do this, but whatever. You got a lot of detail, you're gonna have like a lot of areas and kind of you gotta go around the map borders and stuff and check for all the gaps where the water might not have filled. Obviously we have like inland areas that didn't fill up. This tutorial ain't gonna be perfect, feel free to do what you want. Not really a tutorial, I'm just kind of doing my process here. Inland. Zoom in quite a bit. I want to get all the little details. A lot of bad areas like this, but all that matters is you can just go through with a little pen, pencil, whatever. Fill it up. Got another area up here. Ultimately, it's not the end of the world if you don't get everything. Chances are you're going to catch it eventually. You'll notice it and all that. Kind of go around the edges. My back shouldn't sit with this posture. This posture is bad for me. I know. I know. And the thinner areas. Seems like there's a gap there. It's probably gonna flood out. Oh, no, I was wrong. I guess not. Whatever floods out, just undo and patch up the gap with whatever you have. Boom. So we have the water. It was the shallow water. I'm just gonna go through maybe I don't know. Get the kind of deeper areas. The deeper areas, what I usually use is the lasso tool. I don't know, it just kind of looks good. Gonna want to make the color a little bit darker, kind of work in intervals. So we kind of want to have like a little area. I think this is the way I did it. Can't remember. Can't remember how I went about this. I'll just kind of fill up random areas. This is going to be like the deeper water stuff. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Duh. So we're going to be filling in all the deeper areas. Oops. Somehow missed a part there. Don't want to always go like right up to the land. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Vary it up a little bit. The water depth. You can always play around with all these things and see what works, I guess. So I kind of want to have like really deep water right off the coast there. Fill that up. Just kind of work in little bits. So I have like deep water in there. Boom. Deep water on this side. Kind of goes in a little bit. Say I want that to be all shallow out there. Usually just do little squiggly lines, make the shape look a little more natural. Something like that. You can kind of go out a little bit. So it's all going to be shallow. It's going to kind of reach the top there. Kind of want to go close, far away, whatever you want. Kind of go around the shape of the land masses, I guess. Say I want to actually add to that. They kind of almost go in there. Fill that up. like I said, little by little. Something like that. Even just kind of go around like this. Something like that. Boom. Can even go in, add a little bit. Maybe I want to add like that. A little part over there. Okay. I usually don't go too squiggly and detailed. That's gonna be like a shallow kind of sea. So we're not gonna really bother with that. Of course, one thing to take into consideration, I guess, is that this is a world map, so the distances aren't the same that I'm used to. So I don't think I've ever really drawn a world map per se. I usually just do like little country maps and whatnot. Yeah, like little areas near there. So yeah, like that's gonna be really deep right off the end there. So we're gonna have like a little bit of deepness in that lake. Maybe a little bit in this one too. Just for the heck of it, why not? Remember, you kind of want to be random with the shapes. Kind of messed it up a little bit. Just gonna fix that. There a little bit. And then we're just kind of gonna dip in here. Kind of. Oops. Maybe like a little area here. There we go. Obviously, we're gonna want at least another layer. This one will be a little easier though, because it's just kind of little pockets in between here and there and around the edges. So I'm gonna vary the spacing a little bit. Might want some deep cliffs underwater. You could go layer, 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 just keep adding random layers, different shades. I'm just gonna say that's good enough. Now on the same layer, might as well do the landmass on the same layer, it's not gonna hurt. Kind of want to go for like, usually I go for around a yellow greenish, between green, yellow, sort of slightly darker, a little more desaturated. I'm gonna go a little darker because oftentimes the higher the land, if you're doing like mountains and stuff, the higher the land, usually the lighter you go. It's just basically a matter of filling in everything. So like little patches like that, you just fill it up. You don't have to do green. If it's like an Arctic area or a desert area, you can change the color. Up to you, up to you. I love talking as if anybody's gonna watch this. Let's don't see any white. Keep moving on right to left, I guess. One side to another, that way you make sure you're getting everything. I don't think I have a keybind for the paint bucket, so I just gotta keep selecting it manually. Feel free to change the color. This is usually just the color I do. You know, maybe that's gonna be kind of like Arctic areas. Maybe that's where the Arctic will be, kind of off to the side there. Maybe. Though I do like a manual kind of gray. That way it's filled in with some color, rather than being an empty hole in the paint. Yeah. When colored, usually you do like mountains and stuff. I'm not gonna bother. I'm not. Once again, like I said, you want to make a separate layer for everything you do. I'm gonna make a separate layer, make the brush really thin, start thinking of where the countries will be. Wait, actually you want it even thinner. Oftentimes man-made borders are very jagged, straight, geometric, oftentimes, except for when they follow rivers. A lot of times country borders can follow rivers and whatnot. Make a kind of dotted line. Say that's gonna follow a river. There's gonna be a country border that kind of goes between, or goes on either side of that river. And all countries are not going to be the same size. We all know this. There's tiny countries, there's giant countries. It's usually how it is. Usually I do like a little dot indicator to show if like what country an island belongs to, and if there's none, that means it's its own. Usually there's probably a better way to do that, like maybe some red line or something. I don't know. These two islands here are going to be their own country. Maybe that island's going to be part of it. This is why you often want to make the lines for borders a lot thinner, so you can differentiate like land masses and borders and whatnot. I make these all one island nation. My lines aren't straight, whatever, who cares? Like I said, I'm not trying too hard with this. This is just a little thing for fun and whatnot. Kind of the process I used for my other map. Nation, nation. Maybe I'll divide this one in like two or something. Maybe that'll kind of divide there. Maybe that'll be its own nation here. If you have a lot of countries, you can say explain it in the what was it? Explain in the history and lore and all that stuff, why there's so many countries and all that. See if this area is gonna be one giant freaking country. Yeah, that's right, this area. Make it like, say, across there or something, I don't know. Say you have country, something like this. That's a country of its own. It's a weird country. It's definitely a weird one. It's kind of split up between three different sides of one river. But who knows, maybe there could be some fun reason to that in the lore. Maybe like a little landlocked nation here. Maybe like another one. Nah, you know what, maybe it reaches out to the sea a little bit. Maybe it goes there. Weird shaped countries, but whatever. So that goes off of a river or something. Like I said, I'm not used to drawing world maps. I'm just used to drawing, like, you know. So that follows a river or something, I don't know. Okay, all that stuff's coming together nicely. Border that goes down the river. Oftentimes that's how it is in real life. There should be its own country. A lot of smaller island nations. Big country. Definitely a lot of fucking countries in this world. Fuck it, what if I make the whole southern area of this island another one of the largest nations, pretty much. It's kind of like a landlocked country inside of another country kind of thing. Oops. So yeah, I did miss an area. Go back to the land coloring layer, fill that in, then switch back to black, back to the previous layer that I was on. Yep. See? Not the end of the world. Actually, I don't really want to do that. Boom. That's all the borders. That's all the countries in that world. Just made an entire world. Done. Just gonna put some more coffee. If I had names for all of them, I would name them all. Obviously, that's not something I have right now. It's just something I made on a whim. If you name everything, you can put the names over, scale the names relative to the size of a nation, so you don't have a tiny little nation with a huge name. You can make like little marks, you know, have like the legend over here. You know, you can just say like, okay, bigger brush. Just have like legend, obviously either neater handwriting or like actual text boxes. Legend, and then you could just do like a certain symbol, say like a black circle, I don't know. And then that black circle would be, say like, I don't know, it's been a while since I've done a legend. I usually don't do it, I don't need to do it. Well, like legend, circle, say that's like main city. So you just want to do like a little black circle there, black circle, I don't know. Obviously you want to do that on a separate layer. But yeah. So it was just my process of making making a world map. I don't usually make world maps, I usually make like nation maps. Like I'll draw like a nation, all the regions and that. It's a bit easier to do it that way, in my opinion. I don't know. Yeah. Um, this one's a bit more colorful, I just noticed. This one's a bit more dull. Like I said, you could just change the colors if you really want to. Don't have to go off of these colors. I usually make it a bit more dull because it's more realistic that way. You could do a little more saturated like this. Yeah. That's... yeah. Yeah. Could probably even take this map here. Find a place somewhere, some island that's similar to it. Make it that island, I guess. Make it that nation. Say, I don't know, like... Or I could even just draw an island right now that looks like it. Boom. Give me it. Because that's another thing too. You could draw the nations first and then fit the nations into a world map, kind of like puzzle pieces, but that probably wouldn't work too well. I don't know. Up to you. Up to you. You do you. Alright, I guess that was my process. I'm kind of bored. But, yeah. Alright. Already have it saved. Yeah, make sure to save. Okay, yeah, I'm probably gonna end the stream now. That's all I really wanted to do. Kind of bored now. Yeah. I gotta go to the washroom anyways. Okay. Probably gonna stream Genshin on my other account, so if anybody wants to watch, they can. See you guys.